Hi, this is Emerald, and welcome to the Diamond Net. And today I want to talk to you just a little bit about how I sort of reconcile personal development and self-actualization with seeking enlightenment. So, a little bit about me, my backstory. Basically, around the time I was in high school, I started really getting interested in growing myself as a person. I wanted to give myself kind of a lot of gifts and to sort of teach myself how to do a lot of things. Starting around the age 14, I started to learn how to play the guitar. I started to learn how to paint and to draw. And then when I turned 16, I started to get really, really serious about just growing myself as this really well-rounded person who knew just a lot of different things, sort of like a jack of all trades. And so I had kind of set on to this goal of like mastering a lot of things in my life and becoming good at a lot of things and developing my work ethic. And so I would tell myself very often, like kind of these affirmations, like successful people do things well, especially when they don't want to. That one kept me going. I would sometimes pull all-nighters just working, making sure that my schoolwork was perfect and getting all A's and making sure that I had this overarching theme for what I wanted to do in my life and getting myself to college and, really kind of like living that, pulling myself up through my bootstraps kind of thing. Yeah, so this went on for about 4 years, and I was just super like this all the time, just constantly trying to add value to myself. And it became quite an addiction of mine. Like really, the greatest high that I would have is like if I really worked hard and I felt like I succeeded and I got to feel like that release that you get. Like if you're familiar with it, like whenever you've achieved something or whenever you've been successful in some way, it's like, ah, yes. But then, of course, you quickly get adapted to it, and then it's on to the next thing and the next thing. And it's sort of like you're in this sort of hamster wheel kind of effect. And so if you're familiar with my channel, I talk very often about two awakening experiences I had when I was 20. And one thing that basically what happened is I temporarily transcended the ego, and all of my identity that I had been creating and all of those things, they suddenly became unimportant. They sort of dropped away. Emerald Wilkins as a concept was not important anymore. And in that, I felt better than I had in my entire life. Like the thing in my life that I could relate it to most, and it doesn't even touch it, it's like the joy of being a child and like seeing something completely brand new. But at the same time, that's just nothing compared to it. It was just the most blissful feeling that I had ever had and the most free I ever felt. It was a real sort of load off. And I realized that this masterpiece identity that I had been creating, that I'd been constantly trying to add value to, and that I had been so preoccupied with, was actually the thing that was keeping me from fulfillment, which is what I was seeking anyway in all of my endeavors. I was seeking to be able to feel positively about myself, to be able to love myself, but I had all of these conditions for doing so. And so when I had those experiences and I got so much more clarity about the situation because I was able to zoom out from it, it made me realize that a lot of my efforts toward personal development and toward self-actualization, if you will, were actually based deep in a root of self-hatred. So I was just trying to make myself valid somehow. Like I've always felt like this baseline sense of inferiority, and so when I would achieve, suddenly that pressure would be off of me and I could feel like I was somehow worthwhile because I had proven myself in that situation. But then of course I had to consistently prove myself. So for a long time, I repressed my drives for personal development and for self-actualization for many, many years afterward, probably about until I was 25 when I found actualize.org, which is a great channel if you're looking, well, number one, the main guy, Leo, he's seeking enlightenment, so that's very, very helpful. But he also does a lot of like personal development related stuff, which is really great. But so I didn't exactly know what to call the awakening experiences that I had had. I didn't relate it directly to enlightenment, even though I knew it had something to do with letting go of my identity. And so what I was seeking to do was to undermine the identity that I had created. So I sort of tried to swear off, as in so far as I could, being in college, that sort of work ethic, highly driven, constantly needing to meet the next goal, like that drive for success that I had, that drive to bring myself forward in life. I tried to suppress that, and ever since I've had an issue with repressing that. And that was for many years. I always felt like I was like half in and half out, because if I succeeded at something, it was like that same, oh, this is a good thing, I'm succeeding, but then, oh, this is the thing that's keeping me from that state that was really the most liberated that I'd ever felt. So there was always this, yeah. And so I really kind of stagnated in life. I'm kind of rambling on, sorry. But then I found Actualize.org around the time I was 25, and it made me think, oh, well, this guy is seeking enlightenment, which seems to be related to what I experienced. And this guy is also, pursuing personal development. So maybe these things aren't so mutually exclusive. And so I got really into his content and everything like that. And it was like I was getting back in touch with the old version of myself. Like, if you're familiar with Leo's channel, he's got that sort of like bringing himself forward, always trying to get to the next goal. And that reminded me a lot of how I was prior to my awakening experiences. And so it was a lot like getting back in touch with a part of myself that I had been neglecting. And, so I guess through learning various things, I learned to reconcile personal development with and seeking enlightenment. So basically, I have to first come to terms with the fact that I would be seeking both of those for the same egoic reasons, to add value to myself or to add value to my life in some way. And so because I have not transcended the ego, I'm still under ego, I have to kind of accept that I have those urges. And to interrupt those urges toward personal development is actually a resistance to reality, because that desire is actually there. It's my preference to add those things to myself. And so even if I have like this intellectual thought that, oh, this is what's getting in the way of that, that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with what's actually real and true in the present moment. In the present moment, I know that I still believe myself to be this separate person named Emerald, and I still very much feel like this separate person named Emerald needs to have some kind of value added to themselves, or needs to succeed in some way. So that's one way that I reconcile it. Another way is that if I look at it purely through the lens of being successful in life, so as in, here's an end that I want for my life, and here are the steps that I need to take it, that's like a lot more of a healthy and not so egoic reason as, oh, I want to make myself great. It's more so, oh, I want these experiences over here, and I want these things to happen in life. And so in order to do that, the X, Y, and Z has to happen. And so let me go ahead and cultivate X, Y, and Z so that this end thing can happen. And it has a lot more to do with just being effective in life, and not so much to do with my personal value or, anything like that. Yeah, so those are some different ways that I've kind of reconciled it. Yeah, so basically, if you feel the urge toward personal development, if it's something that speaks to you and you have this fear that, ooh, what if this, is like mutually exclusive from seeking enlightenment? Can I actually build myself up as a person while also trying to transcend the ego? I would say yes, but just be very, very careful with how you do it and be very mindful. Don't interrupt any of your natural urges, but also watch yourself when you try to maybe think in your head, it's like, oh, well, doing this actually makes me the cool person, or, this makes me more valuable than da-da-da-da. So just watch out for your judgments in that way. But anyway, that's all I have on this topic for today. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead, click the like button below and subscribe. I'm going to try to get some of my more technically worked out videos. It's been a bit hectic recently because I did start work several weeks ago, so I'm still trying to get into the groove, but I'll definitely, even if I can't get you a full, complete video on Saturday, you'll at least get one of these where I'll share some of my insights. And let's hope that I can get on a better schedule for the future. But anyway, thanks for watching. Have a good night.